100 protesters in Pakistan marched to the U.S. consulate in Karachi to protest against recent deadly Israeli strikes on Gaza. According to Assosicted Press, the protest was mainly organized by Jamaat-e-Islami, one of the largest Islamic and political organizations in the Indian subcontinent. Protesters chanted against Israel and the U.S., calling for the end of violence in the Palestinian territory. They carried banners reading, "Stop Genocide in Gaza" and "Trump Go Back." Munim Zafar Khan, Jamat-e-Islami Karachi chief, said that the march was organized in different cities to protest against Israel's shattering of the ceasefire. He added that the demonstrators will honor and advocate for the innocent children and women of Gaza have been bombed during this holy month of Ramadan. Nearly 600 Palestinians have been killed since Israel on Tuesday shattered a truce that had facilitated the release of more than 24 hostages and brought relative calm since late January. Israel had already cut off the supply of food, fuel and humanitarian aid to Gaza's roughly 2 million Palestinians, has said it would escalate military operations until Hamas releases the 59 hostages it holds, 24 of whom are believed alive, and gives up control of the territory. The ceasefire agreed to in mid-January was a three-phase plan meant to lead to a long-term cessation of hostilities, a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and the return of all hostages taken by Hamas in its surprise attack on Israel.
इसराइल ने मुआहदे की खिलाफ वर्जी की है, मुआहदे को वायलेट किया है, उसको तोड़ा है और इसराइल की जारियत की मजम्मत के लिए और उसकी अमरीकी पुष्पनाही के खिलाफ आज पूरे पाकिस्तान में सूबाई दारुल-हुकूमतों पे, अमरीकी कौंसल खानों पर जमात-ए-इस्लामी ने एहतजाजी मार्च की कॉल दी है। और वजह यही है कि गजा के मजलूम मुसलमान, वहाँ के बच्चे, वहाँ की माएँ, वहाँ की बहनें, उन पे रमज़ान मुबारक के इस महीने के अंदर भी हमने देखा कि 3 दिन पहले जिस तरह बमबारी की गई, 700 से ज़ायद लोग शहीद हुए हैं, जिनमें 2/3 बच्चे और ख़वातीन शामिल हैं।
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer met military leaders from a coalition involved in Ukraine peacekeeping planning in Northwood in England on Thursday. According to Associated Press, senior military officers from more than 24 countries across Europe and beyond met to flesh out plans for an international peacekeeping force for Ukraine as details of a partial ceasefire are worked out. Starmer said it was vitally important to ensure that any deal put in place is defended. A deal without anything behind it is something that Putin will breach. We know that because it's happened before, and I'm absolutely clear in my mind it will happen again, he said. Ukraine and Russia agreed in principle on Wednesday to a limited ceasefire after US President Donald Trump spoke with the country's leaders this week, though it remained to be seen when it might take effect and what possible targets would be off limits to attack.
See you in the honey meeting.
We're very pleased that you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Ми дуже раді, пане прем'єр-міністр, що вас запросили. Вдячний за вашу непохитну підтримку в часи скруту і невизначеності.
Prime Minister, we are very glad to be invited. We are very grateful for your support during these your unwavering support during these tough and challenging times.
Well, it's very important, and you're
very welcome, and it's very good that we're at this level of planning, which is, I think, the right level of preparation. So be assured of our support.
Дуже вас вітаємо, дуже правильно, що ви тут. Ми вважаємо, що ви дуже в правильному місці і дуже правильно тримати зібрана. Запевнено вас. Thank you.
Last weekend and 2 weekends before that, we had groupings of international political leaders coming together to provide the political alignment and the collective agreement that we need to work together to ensure that any deal that is put in place is defended. What's happening here is turning that political intention into reality, the concept into plans, whether that's in relation to what might happen at sea or air or defending borders. And those plans are coming together, and I've met some of the teams at the meeting to work through the details. But it is vitally important that we do that work, because we know one thing for certain, which is a deal without anything behind it is something that Putin will breach. We know that because it's happened before, and I'm absolutely clear in my mind it will happen again. Therefore, what you're doing here today is vitally important to peace and security across Europe, and for our NATO allies, and of course, crucially, for the United States.
President Donald Trump said Thursday a deal providing the U.S. with access to Ukraine's rare earths is back on, and again close to being signed. One of the things we are doing is signing a deal very shortly with respect to rare earths with Ukraine, he said in the White House East Room. According to Assosicted Press, Trump's comment came during an event marking plans to shutter the Education Department. He said he'd signed a separate order increasing critical mineral production domestically and overseas. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenski came to the White House last month to sign a critical minerals deal. But he left without signing after a contentious Oval Office meeting. The Trump administration has been making the case that tightening U.S.-Ukraine economic ties through an agreement that gives the U.S. access to valuable mineral deposits in Ukraine will give Russia pause about taking malign action against Ukraine in the future.
Well, thank you very much. And moments ago, I also signed an executive order to dramatically increase production of critical minerals and rare earths. It's a big thing in this country. And as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world. But in particular, Ukraine, we're doing very well with regard to Ukraine and Russia. And one of the things we are doing is signing a deal very shortly with respect to rare earths with Ukraine, which they have tremendous value in rare earth, and we appreciate that. And we spoke yesterday with, as you know, President Putin and President Zelenski, and we would love to see that come to an end, and I think we're doing pretty well in that regard. So hopefully we could save thousands of people a week from dying. That's what it's all about. They're dying so unnecessarily, and I believe we'll get it done. We'll see what happens, but I believe we'll get it done. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making.